There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Good morning and welcome everyone to the APS Leaders Institute workshop on multidisciplinary team nuts and bolts, how to start and how to level up. My name is Rabaz. I am the Training Operations Supervisor for the Adult Protective Services Workforce Innovations Program. Here with me today are our panelists, Carrie, Kelly, Maria, and Carol, who we're going to introduce further in just a moment here. We also have other members of the Adult Protective Services Workforce Innovations team. That is Dawn, Megan, and Jennifer. Before we get started, briefly just going to go over a few housekeeping. First, I want to check that everyone has access to the participant manual that we sent out. I'm sorry, I'm trying to put it in the chat for easy access. If nobody, or if somebody doesn't have it, I'm going to be putting it in the chat right now so that you have access to it. So just give it a minute here to upload. And that should be coming to you very shortly. Okay, she'll have that now. All right, so let's advance to the next slide. So first, just a little information on the Academy for Professional Excellence, which is a project in the San Diego State School of Social Work. Its mission is to provide exceptional workforce development and learning experiences for the transformation of individuals, organizations, and communities. And Adult Protective Services Workforce Innovations, also known as APSWI or APSWI, provides innovative workforce development to APS professionals and their partners. APSWI is a program of the Academy for Professional Excellence, along with the others that you see listed at the bottom of the slide. So I'd like to take this time to just express my gratitude of having you all here with us today, this morning. Thank you so much for showing up and for being here. Now I'd like to introduce our land acknowledgement. I am coming to you all from San Diego, which is Kumeyaay land, and I'd like to acknowledge the lands that we're all on here today and the purpose of this land acknowledgement. So the purpose of this land acknowledgement is to recognize the relationship of Indigenous peoples to the land. It is multifaceted in its meaning. It shows respect to the people of the land, to the land itself, and to the relationship to one another. They are statements to recognize the disposition from the land, the harm brought by colonial practices, beliefs, and policies. They validate and recognize the continued presence of Indigenous peoples everywhere. Lastly, when offered in earnest and with sincerity, they are the first steps in reconciliation and healing. In the chat, I'm placing a link where you can learn more about the land that you are currently on. And that is going in the chat box now. Okay, so for millennia, over 100 tribal nations have been a part of this land. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the Academy community, we acknowledge this legacy, we promote this balance and harmony, and we find inspiration from this land, the land of the original inhabitants of California. We also acknowledge that making a statement isn't enough and that it's important that we share ways that people can take action. So while developing a land acknowledgement statement is an important step towards reconciliation and healing, the statement alone is not enough. It's important to also identify concrete steps and actions that can be taken. These actions can involve putting in time and effort to research and learn more about the Indigenous. Sorry, I'm getting a notification. Sorry about that. So these actions can involve putting in time and effort to research and learn more about the Indigenous communities of the lands you're on, returning artifacts and land to their appropriate tribal communities, working to protect and preserve the land, and much more. I'm putting another link in the chat on ways that you can take action if you'd wish to do so. All right, let's advance to the next slide. So here's a little overview of technology. I'm sure that all of us now are pros at navigating through Zoom and other online platforms, but I'm just going to briefly go over a few functions that we're going to use today. So first, you see your video icon. That is where you can turn your camera on and off. If you do have a camera, please do turn it on. We'd love to see your faces this morning. The mic icon allows you to mute and unmute yourself. Please make sure you're muted while others are speaking. The participant icon allows you to update your name if needed. You'll just need to hover over your name, select more, and then select rename. Most of you have your counties listed on your display name, but if you notice that yours doesn't, please update your name to reflect your county. If you aren't able to get to this, don't worry. Jennifer, our tech support, will be adding your county to your display name. So don't be surprised if you see it just pop up. The chat box is where you can participate via chat. We tend to use the chat box a lot, so please just be aware of that. The reactions tab allows you to share some reactions like raising your hand or giving a hand clap or giving a thumbs up. We'll also be utilizing breakout rooms today. When you're in your breakout room, you're able to leave the breakout room at any time and can signal for assistance if needed. And then just a few reminders, please attend the entire course, but of course, for whatever reason, if you need to step away or log off, go ahead and private chat me. Lastly, I know that some technical glitches are going to be inevitable on both my end and yours, so just encourage us all to be patient as we navigate through them together. I think that might be it for housekeeping. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or private chat me. But I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Dawn now to provide an overview of our agenda and introduce our panelists.
Thanks so much, Rabaz. My name is Dawn Gibbons McWayne, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm the program director for APSWE, or otherwise known as Adult Protective Services Workforce Innovations. And as Rabaz mentioned, we've got the other members, some of the other members of the APSWE team here, Rabaz, who you met. And we've got Jennifer, our program assistant, and we've got Megan, our Leaders Institute coordinator. So we're all here supporting this workshop today. Thank you all for being here for this workshop so we can learn more about multidisciplinary teams, how you get them started, how you continue them, how you level up or take them up a notch if and when you're ready to do that. A little bit of background first on the Leaders Institute. So we're here today to support adult protective services and adult services leaders. As always, we want to help facilitate and support you all with making connections. There's no one that understands the very hard work that you do, like your colleagues here. So we want to support you all in making those connections. One of the things that we did for this workshop is on the registration, we had let you know that we were planning to send out a contact list following the workshop. And there was an opportunity to opt out if you did not want to have your contact information shared. So we will be sending that out following this workshop so that you can follow up with other folks if you have questions or want to talk more about MDTs. So again, today's topic is MDT nuts and bolts, how to get started and how to level up. The idea behind this workshop came out of the fall MDT conference. And as we were getting feedback from folks who attended, we were hearing that that conference was really helpful. And it would be really great to have an opportunity to talk about how do you get started. And if you've got an existing MDT or you've had some starts and stops with your MDT, how do you move through those challenges? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. In terms of the agenda and the presentation, the agenda is basically the same as if you've attended our workshops in the past. We'll have the presentation portion, we'll have Q&A, nice long breakout groups so that you have ample time to connect with one another. We'll debrief, and then we'll have the evaluation portion where we will be asking for your feedback about how things went, what worked, what didn't. The presentation portion of this workshop is a little bit different than what we typically do. We're going to start with a panel discussion. So we've got 3 of our county folks who are going to be talking with you, and I'll be moderating or facilitating that discussion, talking about their current experience with MDTs and just all in all of the areas that I mentioned. And then after that, we'll have Carol Sewell that will be talking to us about the A-Team project as a support for MDTs, and we'll be providing that information and resources, and then we'll be moving to the question and answer portion. So regarding the Q&A, if you have a clarifying question about something that you've just heard from one of the panelists, please put that in the chat and give us a heads up that this is a clarifying question so that we'll know, oh, this is a question for right now. If you have other questions that come up, but you don't want to have to hold them all in your head, please feel free to, you can put those in the chat too, and then we'll be gathering those for the Q&A portion. And for those, you could just give us a heads up that this is a general question, and then we'll hold that for later on in the Q&A. Any questions before we get started? All right, then let's get into it. So for the first portion today, we will be hearing from Carrie Aldava, Program Manager with Ventura County APS, Kelly Carpenter, Program Manager for Adult Services in Nevada County, and Maria Loera, APS Policy and Quality Assurance Regional Manager in Riverside County. So Carrie, Kelly, and Maria, let's get started and learn more about MDTs and your experiences. So Kelly, I'd like to start with you. If you could please introduce yourself and let us know the size of your county and what your current experience is with an MDT in your county.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kelly Carpenter, Program Manager with Adult Services in Nevada County. And Nevada County is a small rural county in the foothills above Sacramento. We have a population of approximately 103,000, with 29% of the population over the age of 65 years old. We had a history with our MDTs early on. It was originally held in our probation department, and APS was invited on a case-by-case basis at that time. And then we had very low attendance. And so then we moved, probation quit handling the MDTs, and then we picked it up, but it was only done on a case-by-case basis. Somebody would reach out and call me and request the MDTs. That wasn't very successful. So I restarted the MDTs in January of this year. Did you want me to go over the details on that now?
I was on mute. I'll have Carrie and Maria introduce themselves, and then we'll come back to how things got
Sure.
started, or kind of the evolution. Thanks, Kelly. Carrie, how about you?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Carrie Aldava, Program Manager in Ventura County for APS. I've been managing the APS program in Ventura County since 2019. I have 25 years of adult services experience, 21 years of that in APS in Ventura and LA counties. For those of you who don't know where Ventura County is situated, we border LA, Kern, and Santa Barbara counties. Our county population is just shy of 900,000 people, so we're considered a medium-sized county, but we're also considered one of the older or grayer counties. We have over 210,000 older adults in our county, so makes us a little bit unique in that way. We've actually had an MDT in our county since 1999 when the APS regulations were started. However, our MDT had a reboot in 2010, and so the current version of our MDT has been going for the last 14 years.
Thanks so much, Carrie and Maria.
Good morning, everyone. I am with Riverside County. I apologize for the voice, kind of getting over a little bit of laryngitis here. Riverside County is actually considered a large county. We have close to 2.5 million residents countywide. We are what I call MDT rich in our county. We have about 7 MDTs. We started with our care MDT that really was designed to assist folks that were experiencing some kind of scams, consumer fraud, and really allowing the opportunity for our partners to come to the table and figure out creative ways to collaborate and resolve some of our issues. We also have the much larger one, our Elder Abuse Forensic Center, and I think that's probably the most familiar one to most folks. It gives us access to our geriatricians and forensic specialists. We have what we call a fast MDT, which addresses issues with financial abuse. We have our public guardian MDT, and that really just allows us to collaborate more closely with our public guardian when we're moving cases from adult services into the conservatorship realm. A couple that we have that are a little bit different than those because they don't involve active cases is our death review team meetings. And that one really allows us to look at best practices, lessons learned, what we might be able to do differently or better for some of these cases. Our substantiated allegations MDT really gives us an opportunity to review cases that involve a suspected abuser that has confirmed allegations and is providing care to other residents of the county through the IHSS program. And then finally, the last one we have is our homeless MDT, and that really allows us to address issues that are unique to that homeless or unstably housed population.
Thank you, Maria. So Kelly, let's go back to you. And next slide, please. You were starting to talk with us about the evolution of the MDTs in Nevada County, and that I found that to be really interesting that the MDT started in another department, and APS was one of the partners that was sometimes invited. So can you talk more with us about that evolution and how things started, and when the MDT, kind of the more recent version came to be, kind of how did you restart and make decisions about who to invite and virtual or in person? Like what was that process like?
Sure. So after the probation department handled it, and the person who was handling it for multiple years had retired, and then the probation department decided they didn't want to continue to have it. So then it transitioned to our APS office. And as I mentioned before, the attendance was just really low, and then it just kind of fell off and went to an as-need basis. So in January of this year, I really wanted to get it started, especially after we survived COVID. So I pulled out all our confidentiality forms. We used two of them, the MDT confidentiality agreement and also our MDT sign-in sheet, which also references confidentiality. I found a central location to have the meeting. We used partner web pages and connections with key law enforcement and fire personnel, found those email addresses. We've just made calls to the community partners that we know, legal services, the hospital, Sierra Services for the Blind. Since we are a small community, we know our community partners very well. And then basically I just jumped in. I just set the meeting. I wasn't sure what to expect. We have no resources. So it's basically my staff going and attending the MDT meetings. We have no money for specialists. So again, it's just kind of a grassroots effort. And when I originally sent out the emails to everyone to invite them, we started with a goal of talking about our high utilizers of the community systems, just to have some place to start for folks. And I've been really pleasantly surprised how well it's been going. It's really provided an opportunity for law enforcement and fire to understand APS services and understand what we can and cannot do, because there was always a disconnect with new officers coming on. So I've been super happy about how it's been going. And we average about 10 to 12 people each meeting. So we have a standing meeting every month, regardless on how many people show up. And the engagement has been really well received. And we keep adding new partners to that meeting. I ask at every meeting to let me know of anybody else that you feel that would be beneficial to invite. And so the invite list has been growing. We also use an Excel spreadsheet to track the clients that we talk about, and also the outcomes and who is volunteering to do what with regards to that client and how we're going to provide wraparound services to them.
Thanks, Kelly. So are you the person who's doing the coordinating for that
I
MDT?
am. I am.
Okay.
But there's
Okay.
nobody else.
Right. Yeah, I heard the like, we have no one, we have nothing. We like, how do, but this is important. So how do we get this going again? And I heard you say like, well, I jumped in. I'm like, well, let's give this a go. How about you, Carrie? What's the experience been like in Ventura with getting started? I heard you like that this it's been long standing in Ventura, so I'm guessing there's been a lot of evolutions over the years.
Yes, there has. The latest with the reboot in 2010, that came about via an Archstone grant. And so what we were able to do with that grant at the time was to add two other professionals to our team, a medical doctor, and then a neuropsychologist, Dr. Eric Landy. It was quite amazing because before, especially before Dr. Landy joined the team, we had a lot of difficulty getting referrals over to our public guardian's office. Like we just weren't able to do it. And I know those who are on this training can relate because doctors have various reasons, of course, why they don't feel comfortable, filling out the capacity declarations needed for those referrals. But Dr. Landy was able to go to the client's homes to conduct the neurocognitive assessments, which is really critical for the population that we work with. And likewise, the medical doctor at the time was able to go to the home and see clients, who hadn't been to doctors in many, many years. And so if they were out of their prescriptions, she was able to coordinate and call in prescriptions to the pharmacies, and sometimes we were able to use tangible funds to help pay for those prescriptions. So it was a beautiful model. Unfortunately, we weren't able to retain the medical doctor portion of the MDT, but we were really able to keep Dr. Landy. We were able to demonstrate to our board of supervisors with the data that we collected the value that he added. And so they have continued to fund his contract for, I think our grant was, it was a 3-year grant. So going on 12 years now, our board of supervisors has funded his contract, and his current contract is for $180,000 per fiscal year to see clients. So really critical benefit that he adds to our team. So the team in 2010 is the one that I inherited. I've just been able to expand it a little bit. So the core professionals that have been part of that team since 2010 include the public guardian, behavioral health, our public health, the ombudsman, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, local police departments as they're able to participate, our area agency on aging, and I've been able to add local hospital staff, a real estate professional, the Alzheimer's Association, and our HMIS team, along with our regional center. So I wear the hat in our county as far as I collect the cases for presentation, I coordinate the meetings, but my 5 supervisors help to support me when I'm unable to facilitate. So they all rotate in doing that, which is really critical. So it's a all hands on deck sort of an operation. And so the agreement that we have with the folks that attend the meetings, they all sign an MOU that we have, and they all agree to at least send one representative. If they're not able to make it as the core partner, to send someone in their place, and obviously to abide by the confidentiality rules that we have pertaining to our Welfare and Institutions Code. So the purpose of our meeting, in terms of like what the goal is, it's to consult about the complex biological, social, and psychological issues, all of which are exacerbated by a lack of needs that our clients have, especially appropriate housing. And we want to design effective intervention strategies that help to support the client's expressed wishes whenever possible. Like Kelly, we do track our cases, the outcomes via an Excel spreadsheet, and then we provide outcomes on those cases to our consultants, at least on a quarterly basis, and then I provide a year-end report to the team.
Thank you, Carrie. We're going to move on next to Maria, and I wanted to share within the panelists, so Carrie, Kelly, Maria, if you have questions for one another, or there's something that someone says, they're like, oh yeah, we do that too, or wait, what do you do? Or like, is that something you could share? Please feel free to jump in. Maria, can you talk? I've heard you've got lots of MDTs.
We've got lots and lots of MDT. And so
So
how
yeah, can you talk with us about kind of getting started?
Yeah, so how Riverside got started was similar to, the other panelists. We found that there was a need for these recurring clients, right? We were seeing them over and over again. Whatever interventions we were putting in place weren't quite working to address their safety issues because we continued to see them. Now we started with our care team, which is, we call it the general one. And that was just a place where we were able to bring all the partners to the table to say, okay, we're all seeing these clients and we're all seeing them more than once, right? So odds are that if I'm seeing them in APS, the hospital's probably seeing them, law enforcement's probably handling cases, fire department, etc. And so we wanted to make sure that we had a dedicated space and forum. We have folks that join our MDTs sign confidentiality forms, and we keep track of those. We make sure that those are renewed, that no one is participating in this meeting without being admonished, right? They hear us say every time, here are the criteria, everything that is said here stays here. And if you haven't signed this form, please log off. We'll give you the form. You can jump back in once it's signed and on file. And so that really gave us a space. And then from there, we started growing and expanding because we were seeing different niches. One of the areas, like Carrie had talked about, was that need for capacity assessments. We didn't have anything in place that would allow for us to really address the needs of those homebound clients or clients who had not gone to the doctors in quite some time and didn't have someone who was familiar with them. And so from that care team, initial smaller venue, grew the Elder Abuse Forensic Center. And the difference between those was really that we had access now to the neuropsychologist and a board certified geriatrician. We involved a lot more law enforcement. And so it gave us an opportunity to go, okay, from this niche and what we're seeing more often, it needs a dedicated space to address these even more unique needs that are specific to this particular population. So who do we want at the table? Many times it's about leveraging those partnerships that you already have. If you're seeing cases go to the DA and you're having that conversation with the same DA over and over again, bringing them to the table. And for us, the incentive there is that if we do a better job with our investigations, our interview, our documentation, we are more likely to be successful to move some of these cases through to prosecution. We are a larger county, and so I recognize that we have resources that others may not. And that really allowed us to establish some contracts. But in addition to being able to use county monies to support having some of these specialists at the table, we solicit grants, right? We apply for grants. One of the biggest one that supports our Elder Abuse Forensic Center is through CalOES, Office of Emergency Services, and that really allows us to access the doctors and have them at the table for our MDTs and be able to provide their expertise. So that's something that we've done. So we started small. We try to identify where the bigger needs are, figure out what partners are the most impactful at the table, and always allowing for us to have ad hoc members. So there have been instances where we feel like that discussion would benefit from bringing someone in. Sorry, I'm seeing the chat come up, and that is a CalOES VOCA grant, Victim Services Grant. So I can share that information if you want to contact me offline. Thank you, Don. And so we do have the opportunity to invite folks that maybe weren't already at the table where we don't have an established or existing MOU. We bring them into that conversation if and when it makes sense. In Riverside County, I don't wear the hat as facilitator. I participate in the MDTs, but we have dedicated facilitators for all of our MDTs. So our homeless MDT has a facilitator, our care team has facilitators for their meetings. We have a specific coordinator that is tasked with facilitating all the conversations for our Elder Abuse Forensic Center. And for this particular employee, that involves receiving referrals. So we've created a single page document that really pulls in all the basic demographic information so that we can get everybody started. And we let our referring party lead in terms of who they want to see at the table. And Yeah, so we continue to grow. We have quarterly planning meetings to evaluate our process, our progress. We discuss outcomes. We very much like Cary and Ventura County, keep a spreadsheet of who gets referred, when they get referred, what recommendations we're providing through the MDT, and tracking whether those were followed through or if we ran into any barriers of any sort. We try to share the responsibility. So it's not always our referring party who is ultimately responsible for every recommendation. If there is a partner, like one of the nurses, the doctors, who can take on a portion of that recommendation and service plan, we encourage them to work together and collaborate, so it's not a burden to the referring party. I do see a question in the chat about the VOCA grant expiring. We have had the VOCA grant now for about 7 years. And we are expecting to see a cut in the upcoming year, but generally speaking, we have a competitive bid one time, and then that's usually followed by 4 years of non-competitive grant funding.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you for that additional information, Carol, about what's expected in terms of that funding. And just as a heads up to our panelists, there's quite a bit of interest in the Excel spreadsheet that you all are using to track outcomes. So Megan or I will likely be following up with you after this workshop to ask if we can get some samples to send out to the group. We're also seeing interest in sample MOUs. Carol, I think that's something that you might have also. So we'll hear more about some of those. Keep putting those in the chat for those kinds of documents that you're interested in, and we can reach out and get copies of whatever is able to be shared, and then we can send that out to the group. So Kelly, let's go back to you. So starting at MDT can be a really heavy lift, and that's one hurdle. But then once you get started and you're going for a while, there can be challenges about how do you maintain, and then if you need to, how do you kind of get to the next level or expand or change or shift? So can you talk with us about that, how you maintain, kind of what kinds of challenges and lessons learned have come about that you can share?
Sure. So when I started the MDT, I really felt it to be super important that we meet in person. And the room that I was able to get for the MDT that was centrally located is basically a room in one of our homeless day programs. And they're in the middle of remodeling it. So it is just literally a room with 12 chairs in it. There's no access. I don't have, the ability to do a Teams or Zoom calls right now. So my next level up would be, once this room is remodeled, to allow for team and Zoom meetings. Because a lot of folks, it's really hard, especially for the hospital staff who come on a routine basis, to get over there to make the meetings, and also for law enforcement as well. So I really feel like the next stage in the process is going to be provide that virtual meeting arena as well. But I do want to keep in person at a certain point, so many meetings, because I do feel it's important just to have that personal connection, because we are a smaller county, and I feel that we're able to do that a little bit easier. For leveling up, my wish, if I had a magic wand, would be to have a doctor who could do capacity declarations in the field for us. We don't have anyone to do that service, and it is so needed. Looked for grants, and I almost had a doctor last year willing to do it, but then they decided that it was going to be too much work, and so that kind of fell apart. Also, with leveling up, I feel that law enforcement is more willing to do joint home visits with our APS staff now that we're meeting on a regular basis, and we do have that face-to-face contact. So that's been really helpful. And then with that, just increasing the participation of our other community partners. So I purposely started it small, and then that's where I want to go with the meeting this year. So hopefully I can make some strides in those areas.
Thank you, Kelly. How about you, Carrie?
So for Ventura County, one of our biggest changes was transitioning to virtual meetings during COVID. And of course, we're in a different place with our MDT than Kelly is because we've been long-standing for so long. I think that is what helped make our transition to the virtual environment successful because we had that rapport and those long-standing relationships. And so the meetings didn't really suffer from transitioning to the virtual environment. And I do have 2 in-person meetings that we hold in June, and I call it like our holiday version in December, just for networking purposes to kind of keep the morale and the networking, kind of front and center. Those are pretty well attended, but not as well attended as the virtual meetings are. And what I found too, with the expansion of the team in our county, conference rooms are kind of gold. They're very difficult to find. And so I've really had a hard time. We only have one room, conference room that can actually hold all of the members of our MDT. So I guess that's sort of an accomplishment, but it's also a barrier in the sense of being able to accommodate. If everyone did come at one time, it would be pretty full in the room. So I think in terms of maintaining the success as far as the committed partners, I think one reason why we've had such committed partners for so long is that we not only have APS social workers presenting cases, although they are the main presenters, but we open it up to our community. And so our core partners can present cases. We'll take cases from guest partners who want to present. And they realize that they can access for free the brain trust of these different consultants. And so it really keeps people engaged. And so that's been, I think, a really successful component for our team. Like Maria mentioned, we do invite guests ad hoc as needed. The fire department's been a pretty big guest over the years, code compliance, behavioral health case managers and the like, and that really helps to foster a very rich discussion and leads to better recommendations. And some of the partners that I mentioned that we have expanded to, the Alzheimer's Association, the real estate professional, the hospital staff really has added to broaden the depth of the team knowledge and the experience.
Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, and I appreciate hearing all of this, and it's interesting hearing about the pros and cons of the in-person versus virtual. And even if you might want one or the other, you might not have the ability, maybe you don't have the space or the technology, as you were sharing, Carrie or Kelly. And Carrie, that was I like that idea of we do virtual, but then twice a year we still do have an opportunity to come together in person for those that want that, to try to maintain those in-person connections too. How about you, Maria? What do you want to highlight in terms of Riverside County, about how have you maintained, or kind of how have you leveled up over the years?
Certainly, echoing some of those sentiments, I think COVID really pushed us to depopulate offices quite quickly, and with that went the MDTs. But like Carrie, I think it's important to not underestimate the passion of our partners. And so when you start small, sometimes there are folks who are willing to dedicate that time because they understand the importance of the goal in bringing the teams together. And so for us, we quickly moved into a virtual environment. We actually saw an increase in attendance. Riverside County is really big and it's quite spread out. And so it allowed us actually to see more partners and different types of engagement where we hadn't been able to see that in person. Despite our best efforts to make this centralized, folks were traveling quite a bit to get to us. And then as we kind of progressed through and we realized that COVID was here to change things for the long term, we started working on securing technology that would allow us to do hybrid meetings. So our doctors very much, Kelly, I think I'm with you. I think there's something different about being in person, the connections and the sentiment of wanting to help that person is just a little bit different. And so we wanted to keep that as an option. We now have the technology in a centralized location where we can set it up and folks can join us in person, but also join virtually. We didn't want to exclude one or the other. And so that was something that for us was a bit of a balancing act. We do have quarterly in-person planning meetings for our larger MDT for our Elder Abuse Forensic Center, and that is fully in person for core members only. And that's really the place where we talk about, what's going well, what can we adjust. There's a survey that we sent out leading up to that meeting to get a better idea from our core partners. Have you presented? If you haven't, what might be the reason? Do you feel supported? Do you feel like those recommendations make sense? We really aim and I think most of us do, we aim to make sure that titles stay at the door. That's a little bit of a challenge, right? When you're sitting there and you're a social worker and maybe this is the first case you're presenting and you have a neuropsychologist and you have a board certified geriatrician and you've got the district attorney at the table, right? It can be quite intimidating. So we set up a few tools that we make available to our teams. Our coordinator for the Elder Abuse Forensic Center does a fantastic job of connecting with folks when they're wanting the support. It's optional. We don't force anybody to have conversations with us in preparation for the presentation, but we do provide her as a resource, and that is a conversation with them about, here's a template, this is the type of information that you may want to know and have at the ready. The doctors tend to ask things about MOCA scores and what medication they're on, and just giving them the heads up based on her experience so that they can feel more confident when they're bringing that presentation to the table. So those are some of the things that we've dealt with. Maintaining, virtual environment is a little bit different than in person. It's a little more challenging to pick up on nonverbal cues, right? So it's a benefit to have a lot of folks at our table. We've got about 35 partners generally at the Elder Abuse Forensic Center that come together. And we're all very passionate individuals and we all view things through separate lenses. And there are times where conversations can get a little bit intense. And so we rely pretty heavily on our facilitator to just be able to pick up on those cues and redirect when necessary, focus our teams to the goal. We use a PowerPoint for both our virtual and hybrid style meetings to have that goal of that client or that referring party front and center, so that we're always talking about, we're recommending X. Let's talk about, does X get us closer to that goal? If yes, let's agree to adopt that recommendation. If not, maybe great recommendation, but that will be lower on the priority list. So those are some of the things that we do to try to maintain and keep that atmosphere going and make sure that it's one where folks feel supported and welcomed and that there's added value from coming to the table. In terms of leveling up, like Kelly, we started smaller and then we identify areas that maybe there are gaps. When we didn't have law enforcement coming to the table quite as frequently, we did a lot of outreach and networking to try to encourage them to come in. And, maybe if it's your off shift, right? You can't come in. Is there someone on your team that you might recommend, stand in for you? A lot of work going in recently through our outreach staff to connect with fire departments. And so we've seen an increase in cases that are being referred to by our partners in the fire department. Lots to do with lift and assist calls, especially when they're having to come in multiple times and wanting us to address issues like hoarding or self-neglect, things of that nature. And then the work doesn't stop, right? We have a pretty robust EAFC MDT, but something that we're recently working on is trying to get a specialist that does assessments for dependent adults. We have doctors who really, whose expertise is handling anything that has to do with elder adults. We have found that it takes a different skill set to do assessments for someone who is a dependent adult, particularly in instances when they're nonverbal or minimally verbal. So on my wish list, Kelly, it's to try to onboard someone who can really address that niche population. But yeah, that's what we're working on in Riverside County.
And Maria, did I understand correctly that kind of going back to something I had heard you talking about in order to help people prepare to present their case or to be able to help them prepare to speak to their case, do you have a template for your APS professionals?
We do have a template that we offer. It's not mandatory that they use it. It's just a
Sure.
very brief outline that we say you want to know, person, name, age, just basic demographics, who they live with, how they're connected or not connected to services, whether they're VA. And that just kind of helps us go, are they known to behavioral health? So our behavioral health partners will be able to pull that information. That also helps with, making sure that presenter feels comfortable, right? If I know they're coming in for a capacity assessment and I recognize that in most cases, our doctors want to know about their cognition, right? If they want you to have done a MOCA, maybe if you haven't done it, it'll be a recommendation, but that's helpful to them in terms of assessing what area of the brain may be impacted and whether this aligns with someone who may have a capacity decline. We also, yes, we can absolutely share the template. Very basic, feel free to keep what works and add what you need, modify it as you see fit. But we have that conversation. And so for us, we're fortunate enough to have that coordinator who's been doing this for many years, who's been working very closely with our doctors and partners for many years. And so we like to use her to try to anticipate some of the questions that might be asked. They're not always going to be, we're not going to hit all the marks every time, but together, it's not unusual for 10 of us at the table to be running property profiles and looking into our LEAP system and having somebody check VA and Epic and what have you, anything that we have access to kind of try to piece that puzzle together.
Thanks, Maria. How about challenges and lessons learned that you like to share with the group? For example, sometimes we hear that there's a lot of excitement in the beginning of an MDT and lots of people wanting to share cases or present cases, and then over time it can become difficult perhaps to continue having people or maybe as caseloads rise, folks aren't as able to dedicate time. Or any other kinds of challenges or lessons learned that you've experienced along the way. Kelly, can you start us off?
Sure. So lessons learned for us, just starting again in January, it's just to really start small and just have the expectation that the process is going to take some time to develop. It's going to take some time for the partners to get used to the process of the MDT. And also, I feel that it's important that you're consistent with the meetings, hold them regardless how many people show up, and then to be clear on who is going to decide to provide that wraparound service and what that is. So it gets identified on that the spreadsheet for tracking purposes. And also so that you circle back to that item at the next meeting for the team to review. Also, I loved Carrie's suggestion about the June and December, having that in person and then having a good mix of the virtual. Maria's more virtual. So I definitely want to move in that direction because I think that would increase our participation. And then also think about your intention of what you're going to do with that data, the spreadsheet data. So I'm already thinking about, okay, I've started the spreadsheet this year. At the end of the year, what am I going to do with that data, right? What do I want to have it say? Who's going to be my audience for this? So really having a little thought around that. And of course, that's going to change as time goes by. But so I'm still working on that myself. So, and that's kind of what I've learned so far. So we're just keep plugging along.
Thanks, Kelly. I think your advice about start small and go slowly, it certainly applies here and just in so many areas, when you're trying something new, thank you. That's such a great reminder. It's like start small, go slowly, figure things out. How about you, Carrie?
I think, Dawn, you hit on something earlier. As you say, it's the staff are just so mired in their day-to-day obligations. They don't think of like, oh, the rapid response expert team meeting's coming around. We're very active. We hold them bi-monthly, so there's lots of opportunities, but people, it's just kind of out of sight, out of mind. So me as the main facilitator, I'm always having to troll for cases. As of right now, it's like ours is tomorrow and I have 2. It's like, come on guys, it's like ring the bell, let's go. So I'm having to constantly motivate, and then sometimes I'll ask the supervisors, can you have them review their caseloads, anything they can present, because we want to keep these partners engaged at the table, and especially with Dr. Landy, with the model that we have, it's like we really need to make sure we have a robust agenda, because we're paying him to be as part of the meeting. So it's like I don't want to present 2 cases when I need to pay him for his time. So we try to have for our meetings 5 to 6 cases per meeting to make it kind of worthwhile. Not only paying Dr. Landy, but just the consultant's time in general, which is so very valuable. They're taking time, 4 hours a month out of their very, very busy schedules to sit on this team and participate in these case discussions. So I know I would say that's definitely the biggest challenge that we have, is just constantly coming up with the cases to present at the meetings. I would say another challenge related to the clients that I've seen over the years is it's kind of coming up with those recommendations when the clients still retain the ability to make decisions, specifically the ones who may have severe drug or alcohol problems, but they have the capacity. And so I know over the years we've changed in terms of kind of acquiring more of a harm reduction focus when trying to come up with the recommendations, instead of coming up with something that's going to quote unquote solve a 50-year problem, and we're trying to solve it in 90 days. So trying to come up with something more harm reduction focused, a little bit more realistic for the consultants in terms of their roles and the recommendations and carrying those out, and just focus on the areas where the clients are motivated to change. Maybe they want to use alcohol less. That's a success. That's the win. And we just, like Kelly said, just kind of have to take baby steps and take the wins when we can get them. Finally, I'll say the last challenge that I've noticed as the team has sort of expanded and different partners have come on board, I've had to become, good in many other areas too, in terms of providing feedback to people. But, it's very delicate when you have to provide a criticism to a partner that's come in from other partners on the team. So for me, I've found the way I've had the biggest success in doing that is to set up a direct meeting with the partner that I'm sharing the feedback with, kind of inquire in general about how they feel they're coming across in meetings, and then try to gently provide that feedback, and then ask them if they've noticed what the other partners concerns have been. And this approach has been pretty successful in mitigating any conflicts within the team.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Carrie. That is really can be so tricky to navigate when you want to have a good working relationship and also things are not going very well between 2 agencies or with a particular individual. So thank you so much for bringing that up and sharing how you've been able to navigate that. There's a question for you in the chat. So you mentioned you opened up the MDT so that your partners can bring their own clients or cases to present. Do these clients need to be open to APS?
Most of them did, but not all of them. And so how I distinguish on my little spreadsheet that I'll share is I have them in a different color, so that I know we're not obligated to follow up in terms of APS outcomes. But yeah, most of them do. They do require an open case, and some actually already have an open case. It's just that our APS social worker wasn't of a mindset to kind of bring it forward to the team, but another agency was. So it kind of varies, but most of them do require either already involvement from APS, or they need a case open.
Thanks, Carrie. There are 2 other questions in the chat that I'm going to hold for the Q&A involving, different partners, whether they're invited or not, and length of meetings. And Maria, I wanted to check in with you about, from Riverside County's perspective, lessons learned that you'd like to share, challenges and barriers and how you've navigated them, or how they've just remained, challenges ongoing.
Yeah, certainly some very similar challenges, like Kelly and Carrie have shared. Keeping folks at the table is important. I think as our budgets are in flux and they kind of, you know, move in different directions across the spectrum. And folks either gain new staff, lose existing staff. We see those periods of times where partners may not be consistently at the table. We do ask as part of our MOU that if that particular person that was identified cannot come, that they send a representative, but we will outreach specifically when we're seeing, you know, we haven't really seen this particular partner at the table at the last few meetings. Let's see if there are any barriers or if there's any way that we can help clear that path. The other thing that I think we've seen a lot is the referrals, right? Referrals ebb and flow. And we have a lot of APS cases. APS certainly is the major generator of referrals for our MDTs because we're in-house. They're not the sole source. Like Carrie, we have external partners who can refer in. It doesn't have to have a nexus with APS. And, you know, one of the sticky places could be that APS might, or other partners might feel like they need to be on board with the referral, and that's not the case. We allow everybody to bring their cases to us to have that conversation regardless of agreement, because we want to bring them to the table. We want to have the discussion. So you presenting a case is not contingent upon law enforcement agreeing that it should be presented or that, you know, behavioral health feels the same way. We just want to make sure that we have those concerns addressed at the table. We have 9 operational regions in Riverside County, so I do work closely with those managers. Whenever I'm kind of coming up to our meeting and I don't have any referrals, I am reaching out going, hey, has anything come up? Do you have, I mean, we get, you know, upwards of 2,000 APS referrals every single month. And so one case, I think we can find one that would be good. One of the challenges and something that we try to address is folks tend to feel like these multidisciplinary teams are a last resort. And we really want folks to know that this is a good place for conversation, especially when we're at a crossroads, right? We don't claim to know everything, and in our particular roles, we may come to the end of our ideas, right? We might feel like I've explored A, B, C, D, and E, and I've gone through the entire alphabet and I don't have anything else. And it's really helpful to have those partners take that second look and maybe generate something that we hadn't seen before. Or maybe we've looked at this case so long that we're just kind of like blinded to certain areas and ideas. So that's something that we try to keep open for folks to say, this is not a last resort. You could come to the table and not walk away with a CAPTAC. That's okay. It's really important to manage expectations, both for the folks presenting and for the partners that are at the table. Whenever we're hearing and getting that referral in, and it says something like to get a capacity declaration, then the conversation between our facilitator and that referring party is about, we can guarantee a capacity assessment. That doesn't mean that it'll end ultimately in a capacity declaration. It can, and oftentimes it does, but a capacity assessment is still a win, right? Whether we determine the person has capacity or doesn't, that's still a successful outcome. And to that conversation about the spreadsheets and the data that we collect, you know, we've collected lots and lots and lots of stuff, and sometimes it tells the story that we think it's going to tell, and sometimes those numbers don't really point us in any particular direction. Having so many folks at the table with so many different areas of expertise is great, but also lends itself to challenges when we're trying to figure out, how do we define positive outcomes or successful outcomes on the team? Some folks might feel like successful outcomes are only instances where we can move a case into conservatorship ultimately. And that for us just hasn't been true. Success for us is mediating that risk. It's stabilizing a client. It's leaving them in a better place than we found them. And so some of that quantitative type data is a lot harder to capture. So advice, if we have any, is be careful what information you're collecting. Really kind of give it some thought before you begin collecting that information. What do I want to know? Where do we want to go from this, right? Can we get those outcome definitions situated before we decide what data to collect, because otherwise that can become a bit of a monster. So yeah, I mean, lessons to be learned always, and it doesn't end. Those very complicated conversations with partners we see, and yeah, it takes a lot of finessing, and it takes a lot of managing expectations, and a lot of reframes and redirecting.
Yeah, I really hear you about managing expectations and how important that is. And yeah, something you had just said has really got me thinking about success is likely in at least some situations going to look differently for different agencies. And so I was thinking about that just in terms of the data gathering and the Excel spreadsheets. It's not just like this is what success would mean and there's agreement on that. It could likely look different for different partners. Thank you so much, Carrie, Kelly, and Maria. We're now going to shift gears and hear from Carol. Carol, as you've seen, we've been getting a lot of questions about resources and support for MDT. So I think this is I'm so pleased and grateful that we have you here with us today to share that. And then after Carol's presentation, we're going to move into Q&A, and we'll have all four presenters here to field your questions. So Carol.
Thanks so much, Dawn and everyone. I appreciate the chance to be with you and share today. I'm going to put in the chat my corrected email address. I gave you an incorrect email address in the slides that you have, not this, the presentation will include the correct one, but it's a new email address and someone developed it for me and I didn't write it the way I would have. So anyway, and also you mentioned resources. And so here is the link to my resources page. So I'm Carol Sewell and I'm the project coordinator for the California Elder Justice Coalition's A-Team project. If you want to change, next slide.
Yeah, Carol, I was going to ask, did you want to share your slide, or would you
Yes.
like me to?
No, I can, that's fine.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and allow you to share.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I've got them up.
Okay.
Let me go into, okay. So CEJC is a membership nonprofit with a fiscal sponsor. We don't do our own. We work on elder rights and promote best practices and services. And if you're not familiar with us, I hope you will check us out. Of course, I didn't include the website here, but it's elderjusticecal.org. And this A-Team project is funded by a $375,000 OVC grant. That's the U.S. Department of Justice Office for Victims of Crime grant that was VOCA funded. And the grant is we're part of an enhanced multidisciplinary team project, but our A-Team is the only grantee in 3 cohorts of grants, projects funded that is focused on statewide systemic issues. And my team is a statewide multidisciplinary team created to look at the issues that are facing multidisciplinary teams around the state and try and identify ways to resolve those problems. Do we need policy changes? Do we need a new legal interpretation? Do we need better coordination? What are the problems within the system that make it difficult for you to do the work you do and to reach what you define as success with those cases? So we also have created a resource page, and that's the link I included. Our focus has been on learning from multidisciplinary teams what those barriers are to successful case resolution. We are charged with assisting MDTs by reviewing and offering recommendations on the most complex cases. And we would welcome anyone who has a case that they feel really needs a higher level review to bring that to us. And also to increase access to new resources and training opportunities. And if you go to my page, you'll see that we've got a collection of resources, best practices. I don't offer a model MOU, but I do have a link to the Department of Justice's MDT Training and Assistance Coordinator or Center, run by Talitha Gwynn Shaver. And that includes a number of guides for starting an MDT and how to create an MOU and all the things that you need. This is the A-Team. The A-Team is, I consider, a dream team of experts in California elder law and practice. You may recognize some of these folks. I believe Miss Melissa Brown may be involved in the Sacramento MDT work. She heads the Elder Law Clinic. Debbie Deem is a retired FBI victim advocate and volunteers with a number of FAST teams in the Ventura, LA area, very active. Everyone on the planet knows Paul Greenwood, the retired elder abuse prosecutor from San Diego, who is internationally known and widely requested as a speaker for especially issues around financial crimes. Andrea Higgins is less well known, but a super dynamo elder abuse investigator, sheriff's deputy with San Mateo County District Attorney's Office, and Angela Rosado, who is the coordinator of the Elder Abuse Forensics Center, and also, I believe, the lead on your primary MDT there in Riverside County. The team reviews issues that are brought forward by the MDTs that we work with. They exchange knowledge based on their experience and understanding of the law. They understand process of victims advocacy and can look at what's falling short or where there are additional steps that need to be taken that are not being addressed by different players in the system. Looking at legal system procedures and the involvement of law enforcement. So through that, they're able to make recommendations. We have been working on a number of issues and have actually proposed some draft legislation that we're hoping to get put into the process next year. The way we operate is by receiving input and working with multidisciplinary teams. We started by doing outreach to all the multidisciplinary teams in the state. Emails went out from CDSS to all the APS partners and the County Welfare Directors Association. We basically have worked with MDTs on a bi-monthly basis to hear how things are going with them, to identify their concerns and provide those to the A-Team to consider. We started with a poll to identify the most common obstacles that you encounter. We've begun an open discussion of those problems and have started working with other experts to identify possible solutions. And we've done a lot of review of other state statutes. How are other entities dealing with this? And also getting from the MDTs themselves, are there solutions that you have developed individually or creative workarounds that we could share with the rest of the MDTs? The issues that we've been focused on include financial institutions, banks, especially not complying with mandated reporting laws, not sharing information, account records with investigators. The lack of elder shelters is a big problem around the state. The lack of professionals to do capacity declarations. I know many of you are faced with that big problem. And funding, I know, is a huge issue always. The A-team has really dug into the issue of bank cooperation and have made some great inroads in working actually with the California Bankers Association and legislative staff to make our recommendations known. The other big issue that we have taken on is the issue of abuse in unlicensed community care facilities such as room and board. And we are working on draft legislation to address that as well. Since 2022, we've been meeting bi-monthly with MDTs, and we've been sharing resources. I've been bringing new issues to the front to the fore for you to see, and you can see a number of you are here in this snapshot of one of my earlier meetings. I brought Talitha Gwyn-Shaver from the MDT TAC at USDOJ to meet with the group early on. She is available anytime to meet with you individually, or I can always bring her back at any time. We have gotten advice from the MDTs on how to improve bank relations, what are the things you believe would make that work better. We've gotten a chance to hear from local MDTs, Fresno in particular, but also several others, about the real scourge of abuse in unlicensed care. That's been a really critical issue that needs tackling. The MDT group provided feedback to my organization, to CEJC, on the role of legal services in MDTs, and that was passed on to the Elder Justice, the state's Elder and Disability Justice Coordinating Council, which has a legal services work group, to find out, where are their needs at the local level? Are there civil attorneys working with you? We've also met with researchers. USC brought a research project forward about person-centered practices in MDTs. And my meeting got a chance to meet with her, and people had a chance to share their input on that and learn more about that project. The MDTs also helped advise our input on the APS regulations, which was really important, brought a lot of points to my understanding that I had completely missed. So it was very helpful to us to have that MDT input. And most recently, we actually had a presentation on how to use volunteers to support the work of a FAST team. We had the experience of a former FAST coordinator from Sonoma County who developed a volunteer team to do the forensic screening through a county volunteer certification process. Because we know that when you've got a financial abuse case and you have those records, it takes a lot of time and work to go through those records, and not everyone has the time to do that. So a very innovative approach to bring in retired accountants and CPAs to help with that process and get the information that law enforcement needs to go forward. We also this spring had a great opportunity to meet with the producers of the new video series, that documentary series that's being produced, Heroes of Adult Protection. And you may recognize there Lori Delagrammaticus, who is former Riverside APS and former state APS liaison at the Department of Social Services, and most recently retired NAPSA executive director, who is one of the producers of this video series. And it was really great. We got to see a little clip of what they're doing and to hear their goal is to really highlight MDTs that are moving forward with not only innovative practices, but where cases have resulted in improved practices or changes in how things are handled. And I know they're still open to hearing from teams who have had those experiences. So I would be more than happy if you save my email address to reach out to me and let me know if you would like to contact them. I'll share their contact information. I should have dug it up and put it here, but I will share that with you so that you can reach out to them. They're still open. They're still working on this series. So this is just a snippet of my resource page. I try to keep it as up to date as possible. I'm on a lot of lists and I get a lot of updates from different organizations such as the San Diego Academy for Excellence and other organizations. So I'm really trying to keep that those materials up to date. And one of the things that we have created on our own is based on a template that was created by NAPSA for APS and investigators to use in basically reaching out and working with financial institutions during financial exploitation investigations is this guide, and that is on our website on the page I just showed you. And it includes all of the statutory references that you need to basically share with banks that you have the authority to do these investigations, that banks have the exemption from privacy laws that allow them to share information about their mandated reporting requirements. And along with that, the guide includes templates for you to customize. So you can put on your own letterhead an introductory letter that says, hi, you're a bank we haven't reached out to. We're the entity authorized to do these investigations under Welfare and Institutions Code. It includes a specific template to request account information. It includes a template response when they decide not to comply. So I hope that you'll take a look at that. It's a pretty comprehensive document. I believe I updated it when the change to the 60-year-old for APS when the age limit changed. And and we'll keep it current as long as whenever there's an opportunity to do that. So just here is my correct email address. I also wanted to refer you to our CEJC's Elder Justice Blueprint, committing to equity and inclusion. This is our 2023 document. You can get to it through the QR code. The A team itself was created through a recommendation from our second blueprint, as was the state's Elder and Disability Justice Coordinating Council, which we recommended. So these are this is a policy guide that includes a lot of local practices that you could look at, as well as a wish list for what we would like to see change both at the state and federal level. So I encourage you to take a look at that. I would like to invite you to be a part of my MDT meeting. Do I have another slide? I don't. Please, if you would like to join the MDT meeting, please send me an email. I do have a list of about 70 multidisciplinary teams that I send to when I schedule meetings or updated information. I have another meeting scheduled on the 24th of this month at 2:00. And we will be hearing from the APS work group chair, that's Achilles Saron from San Francisco, who is chairing the Elder and Disability Justice Coordinating Council's APS work group. And their newest project is to look at MDT needs. So he will be coming to talk with you about that and to help create recommendations through the coordinating council that will help to strengthen your work. So that is my presentation. I'm open to questions, and I thank you all for the chance to meet with you today.
Thank you so much, Carol. And with that, we will move on to the question and answer portion of the workshop. So again, we have Carrie, Kelly, Maria, and Carol all here ready to answer your questions. So if you have a question, please either raise your hand or put it in the chat. And to start us off, a couple of questions that came up during the panel portion. How long are your MDTs? And I'll also ask, how often do you meet? So Kelly, Carrie, Maria, can you tell us how long are your MDTs and how often do your MDTs meet?
Sure, I can go. So ours are just an hour at this point, and we have them once a month, the third Thursday of the month. And as we get bigger and as we have more cases, I'm totally open to expanding the time, but right now we meet for an hour.
Thanks, Kelly.
Sorry, it's Carrie. We meet on the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month from 1 to 3 in the afternoon via Teams mostly. We usually only have one meeting in November and one in December because of the holidays. And the one, like I mentioned earlier, in December is like our holiday in-person version.
Thanks, Carrie.
For Riverside County, we meet the second and fourth Monday every month for 2 hours. And then we do have a floating spot that's a few minutes before that meeting for cases that involve strictly self-neglect and need a capacity assessment.
Thank you, Maria. And then another question from earlier had to do with inviting partners. So there was a question about if a family is also being served by child welfare and or IHSS, are they also invited to the MDT?
I'll start. So we haven't had that come up yet, but if there was an IHSS case or child welfare case, certainly would reach out to the program manager for child welfare. And then IHSS is part of my team as well. So we would invite that social worker.
Thanks, Kelly.
In Ventura, I neglected to mention because they're pretty recent additions to our group, but we do have now as 4 partners, IHSS, Public Authority, and our whole person care teams. So sorry, oversight. So they're part of those discussions and can help to share information when there's mutual clients involved. And we have on rare occasions invited CFS, but I would say the last occasion was probably a couple of years ago. So it doesn't really happen all that often in our county.
Thanks, Carrie. How about in Riverside, Maria?
So in Riverside County, IHSS is under the adult services umbrella, so we can invite them if it makes sense. It's a little challenging sometimes to get the social workers at the table because they're seeing upwards of 50 clients per month. So we do have our coordinators reach out if there are specific questions that need to be answered. A lot of the managers are familiar with the IHSS system and can answer those questions as well. But in addition to that, anytime that we have an APS case that is a dual case, meaning it also has IHSS services, our policy says that that assigned social worker is to engage in enhanced case management, meaning that they're communicating directly with that IHSS worker to make sure that the services being provided are still appropriate for the client. And I think there was something else that I missed in terms of the question.
It was about child welfare and or IHSS, inviting them if they're also involved.
Thank you. So we don't see it very often like the other panelists, but we are in the midst of creating our policies around the changes with SB 1054. And so there will be a dedicated MDT for instances where it's a CSD and APS case.
Thanks, Maria. What other questions do you all have? Yes, Hannah.
Hi, thanks for all the information you guys have provided today. I lead the MDT meetings here in Yolo County. And I have a question about navigating. So if you have a partner that brings a case to because we do offer that, that, you know, other agencies can bring a case that they want to discuss to our meetings. If they bring a case, how do you navigate releasing APS information, whether it's past information or current information, if that's something that a partner's asking about? Do you have like a standard way that you deal with that? Do you just release it under that confidentiality agreement, or just kind of curious how you guys navigate that?
Hi, guys. Carrie, I could start. We don't send anything in writing. We will verbally share that during like the confines of the MDT, but we don't send anything in writing.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about in writing, just during the conversation. Like, do you release like, yeah, we've had this many APS reports, or yes, we currently have an open APS case. This is what we're working on. I mean, are you freely releasing that information?
We're freely releasing it because my interpretation of the WIC code is that we can. So yes.
Okay.
I agree, Carrie. That's how we handle it as well. But just, you know, again, looking at the least amount of information to get the job done in a sense.
Agreed. We don't overshare. Whatever is pertinent, like Kelly said.
Same. We do share information more freely in that MDT. We make sure it's relevant and pertinent to the goal of that presenter. In Riverside County, there have been instances where we have someone who maybe hears something that they're interested in or sort of goes, oh, now I want the records. And so for those cases, we still have them follow our standard custodian of records process for releasing any written records.
Thank you. And then the time question was mine also, and a follow-up question that I have to that. So our meetings are an hour and a half, and I was just curious. I know, Carrie, you said that you guys actually staff quite a few cases within your meetings. Do you give a certain amount of time, or do some cases just naturally take more time, or how do you structure that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Hannah. It's kind of free flowing. If I know the case has a long APS history, like I may only have like try to have 4 cases for that particular meeting because I know that case is going to take a good 20 minutes or 25 minutes to discuss. Otherwise, if there's just kind of general cases or maybe we don't have an extensive history, like I try to allow like maybe 15 minutes per case discussion, and I'm just being a good watcher of the time and trying to motivate appropriately when I can interject. In the interest of time, it sounds like we need to kind of move along. Any final comments? I'll kind of move the case, the cases along that way.
Thank you for that. And then my one last thing, and then I'll be done. I was just curious if there's like I have a confidentiality statement that I use, but I was curious to see other counties if they have something that they print out on like the agenda or send out beforehand, and what those look like.
I'm keeping a list, Hannah.
Thank you.
Of all of the documents that are being requested. So we'll follow up with the presenters after the workshop and ask for whatever can be shared, and then we'll share those out with this group.
Thank you.
I wanted to go back to the question that you had asked about managing time and how many cases. Kelly and Maria, do you have a similar structure to Ventura or a different structure, like 1 case per meeting, or it varies?
Well, for us, it does vary. I manage it pretty much how Carrie does. It depends on how many cases are brought forward. Just be mindful of the time, and then that way all the cases that day get to be discussed. I haven't ran into a problem yet, but again, we're still small in our structure. So
In Riverside County, our meetings are about 2 hours long, so we try to dedicate about 30 minutes per case. So our standard is about 4 cases per meeting. Sometimes we'll have cases that are just coming back for an update. And so those are a lot shorter, and we try to balance those out. Our coordinator has been doing this for a long time, luckily. So she's really good about, managing the time and kind of trying to wrap up and redirect where needed. We also use our PowerPoint quite a bit. So as we're sharing the screen in both the hybrid and the virtual formats, we have our little 5-minute slide that kind of tries to remind folks that we're getting ready to wrap up. If there are, some conversations, because it's so large, there are conversations that sometimes go a little bit on a tangent. And so we rely pretty heavily on those coordinators to kind of bring the team back and go, okay, so we're running short on time. We really want to make sure we've hit these goals, and this is what we do. But yeah, a lot of it is just kind of taking it as it comes, and some cases are going to be longer than others in terms of staffing. But we try to keep our standard at about 4 cases.
Thanks, Maria. What other questions do you all have? Hi, Kelly.
Hi, I have a question for Carol. So one of my other goals, besides the MDTs getting started this year, was to reach out more to our tribal communities. And I ended up having a meeting with one of their care coordinators this year. So I'm just curious, when you've discussed tribal cases at your MDTs, what are their differences? Are there distinct differences in those cases? Because I know tribal law could be very different. And so I was just looking if you had any insight into the differences.
I haven't had a lot of success with connecting with tribes. I have long past experience doing work with tribes in a completely different context. I know that the issues around sovereignty and different jurisdictional issues are significant. But I have had several discussions, and I think one of the things that is critical in tribal processes is allowing the elder to be a part of the resolution. We've done a lot of work around restorative justice, and I think that approach is key to how a tribe would approach a case. The different language. I know that we don't use the term abuse necessarily when we're talking with tribal groups, or with an elder. It's, have you been disrespected? Just really framing things in a light that is more culturally sensitive, I think. Those are key. There's been a lot of work done in different states, but I have not been successful in getting a coordinated group together of California tribes. So, but I can make some referrals if you'd like. I am connected to a woman in Idaho who's doing amazing things with her APS program, and lots of great coordination. So I'm happy to help people connect if that would be of use.
Yeah, that would be great. And thank you for that feedback as well. I'm just really excited to start working with this care coordinator and try, IHSS services, APS services to help support that population that right now we really don't have a lot of connection with. So it's my goal to increase that connection this year.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I'll get back in touch with you, or share some resources with Dawn so that she could send out to everyone.
Thanks, Carol, and great question, Kelly. We have a question about whether any of you, Kelly, Carrie, Maria, have had experience with a partner violating the confidentiality agreement, and if so, how that was handled.
So I'll go. This is Kelly. We have not experienced that yet. So if that did happen, I would definitely consult with my county council on next best practices on that.
Scary. Likewise, that's never happened. At least that was ever brought to my attention that they've done that outside of the meeting. But because we're in a virtual format now, we don't hand out the case consultation forms anymore. In the olden days, during the in-person meetings, we'd hand them out and then collect them back to preserve confidential information. But now it's not shared virtually anymore. So we have to do a lot of repeating. The presenters will have to often repeat information because the consultants don't have the forms. But at the outset of each meeting, we do reiterate the confidentiality statement, like, the Vegas rules, right? What is said in the meeting stays within the confines of the meeting. Hopefully that's helped partners remind them that, hey, this isn't, we're sharing real details here that need to stay within the context of the meeting.
How about in Riverside, Maria?
Haven't experienced it yet, right? So I'm gonna cross my fingers on that one. I think everybody's been very mindful and respectful of those confidentiality requirements. Like Carrie, we used to provide and still, I think we moved away from it now in the virtual or like hybrid style meetings, but we used to provide the packets. Each one had a number. At the end of the meeting, we'd collect it, make sure we have all the numbers back. And so folks were letting us know what number packet they picked up when they were signing in for the meeting. So if I was missing number 2 and I know, Dawn, that you had taken packet number 2, I would connect with you to try to get that information back. Right now for virtual meetings, we do share our agendas virtually in an encrypted email with the language on there that was provided and reviewed by our county council, just to admonish folks about the confidentiality requirements.
Thank you, Maria. Is there anyone in the group here that has had that experience with an MDT of having a partner that violated the confidentiality agreement, and some tips on how that situation was handled? So this could happen in writing, as you all have shared, or it can happen verbally, just orally sharing information that should not have been shared. Has anyone had that experience, and any tips on how it's been handled? I'm not seeing any hands or anything in the chat. Very challenging and concerning. That's a tough one. Any other questions for our group here? Anything you've been wondering and have been afraid to ask? No questions too small or too big.
Hi, Dawn. I just wanted to comment on something if I could. I know for
Sure.
me, maybe Kelly feels the same way when we're talking about in the context of how do you level up an MDT? Like I mean, I've been leading it for 5 years, and it's one of the many duties that I have as a manager. And I want to say, and I want to encourage folks that are part of this training. If you didn't attend the previous MDT convening, I encourage you to attend the one in February. That is where I received my most recent inspiration. So we recently designed our form and are trying to adopt a more client-focused approach. And so I don't want to say I'm ashamed to say I haven't done anything in 5 years to level up the team, but I just feel like I haven't been able to focus on that because I have so many other duties. So I know that really served as the source of my inspiration. So, maybe for others who are in a similar role, I just encourage you to do that.
Yeah, great pitch, Carrie.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Carrie said, absolutely. I thought that meeting, MDT convening, was great, and it did. It just said, okay, I need to do this. I need to change this. So it really gave me some ideas to get motivated to do that, because all of our plates are full with lots of things to do. And so that just really helped.
Yeah, thank you both. Oh, go ahead, Maria.
Well, I would only add that we should celebrate the small wins and the small level ups, right? So, sometimes we feel like adding partners to the table is what's gonna, cause us to level up. But, getting more organized in our process, being more consistent with how we deliver the messaging, all those smaller ways to level up when we have limited resources are also wins, and they help ultimately improve that outcome for those clients that we're serving.
Well, thank you all, Kelly, Carrie, Maria, and Carol, for all of the information that you've shared here. I really appreciate your time. And I think similar, hopefully, to, you know, the experience at the MDT convening, hopefully this has given some food for thought or some renewed excitement, or others that you can reach out to if you have questions and need some help. We're gonna move on now to a comfort break and then our breakout group activity. So it's 10:40 now. Please come back at 10:45 and then we'll shift over to breakout group activity. See you at 10:45.